Dude inherited a team from Adam Gase. They were awful. They were outscored by so much the first 5 games. We asked on this network, on TV, is this the worst team of all time? A team like that's going to quit on the coach, right? Nope. Never quit. Won 5 of their last 9. Won 10 games the next year. Came storming back this past season to finish with a winning record. That's a leader. I don't care what your scheme is, whatever else is, to have a group of guys not quit on you, you have to lead. And Key, it seems to me, Harry, it seems to me that even in this piece of behavior from Brian Flores, where a young guy with Flores, 40 years old, with a bright coaching future in front of him, is suing the NFL, knowing maybe he doesn't get another job, maybe it doesn't rule him out, but it is a risk. Here's his personal statement. God has gifted me with a special talent to coach the game of football, but the need for change is bigger than my personal goals. In making the decision to file the class action complaint today, I understand that I may be risking coaching the game that I love, that has done so much for my family and me. My sincere hope is that by standing up against systemic racism in the NFL, others will join me to ensure that positive change is made for generations to come. So there is a lot here, Key. It's like a multi-part question. And number one, does this exclude him from future work? There was a big thought about Colin Kaepernick at the time. Well, he's marginal. He's kind of slipping out of the league. This is, in a way, pumping himself up. I'm not saying this is what happened, but there was that thought. This is not a guy at the top of his powers, But Brian Flores is a sought-after coach. He just did a good job. He was going to get another job, it looked like. Did he, in fact, not just jeopardize it, but spoil his chance going forward? That's the first layer of this before we even get to what I see is like, oh, that's a leader of men. That's a dude with guts. First, let's start with the first layer, Key.
You know what? I don't know, because there's 32 teams and 32 different owners, and they all don't think the same. If you think about the Glazer family and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they've had 3 black head coaches since they've bought the team many years ago, and so whether it was Tony Dungy, Raheem Morris, or Lovie Smith. So everybody doesn't think the same. I think there are a few owners that are out there that would never hire Brian Flores because their mindset is totally different. But I think because he's a good football coach and he stands for something and he has high character, just based on what he's getting ready to go through, he certainly should be considered as a head coach in the National Football League, not just in the future, but today.
There's a shoulda, and there's the will he actually be considered? Key, you bring up there some, Harry, I just want to follow up with Key on this. You bring up there are some owners of football teams in the NFL, and we know, and none of them are black, right? But there are some owners who are not afraid or biased or stereotype in such a way that excludes them from hiring black head coaches, African-American head coaches. Are those like the new money, the new owners who are coming into the league and changing things?
I think, well, when you say new owners, most of the owners in the National Football League out of the 32 inherited the football teams, or they bought them many, many years ago, so their mindsets is still stuck in the Stone Ages. But when you think about the new owners, the guys that got into the club within the last 30 years or so, their mindsets may be a little bit different. When you talk, I mentioned the Glazer family, they bought the team from the Cloverhouse family back in the day. Their mindsets are a little bit different. You know what I'm saying, Harry? They are used to dealing with minorities, so to speak. And this is a bigger conversation, Harry. I want to bring you in on it and give you an opportunity to share your light.
Yeah, Key, it is a mindset thing, right? And until the mindset change, circumstances and things around you won't change. Right, when you look at these owners and you look at different things that transpire, and you look at Brian Flores, we talked about a leader of men, right? He is that. And sometimes I put on my Instagram yesterday, leaders lead and sacrifice individuality for a greater good. And then I finished that by saying the time is now. So I have a ton of respect for Brian Flores because he has recognized that a lot of things are going on in the National Football League and it needs to change. So, yes, he's a guy that's up and coming, a guy that I think is a hell of a coach, and he's leading. But will he get another opportunity in the NFL? Do I think so? I think he should. Do I think he will get shut out because of these allegations or this lawsuit that he has? There's a possibility. That's just reality. But at the same time, I look at this. Brian Flores is a strong black man with a presence. You want to know what America is scared of? A strong black man with a presence.
Yeah, and that is true. See, the whole shutout thing to me, in doing the research on the book that I wrote, that I released back in September, and just understanding the history of the National Football League dating all the way back to the 1930s.
Got it right here.
Is when players were not allowed to play in the National Football League, but the some owners were so afraid to bring black players into the National Football League that they ignored some of the behavior of some of the owners, whether it was George Halas, whether it was George Preston Marshall, who owned the Washington football team at the time. That was the Washington Redskins, which is now changing their name again. You look at that and you say to yourself, the same things that went on now is repeating itself all over again in the National Football League history.
Correct.
And I think when you go and you try and parallel Brian Flores' situation, the Colin Kaepernick situation, they're two different situations, even though they sound the same.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.